As a producer, then, how do you get on the same page with your writers? I know, Kay, you mentioned when you were getting notes, it was nice if the studio started at least with saying something nice to you. But are there other techniques? If, say, for instance, I'm an aspiring producer, I've worked with writer-directors, you get material that you're not quite in sync with, that you can help them, get on the same vision that you have for the project, or that you were, if the tone is different, or how do you come up with different ways to inspire creativity and collaborate with your writers so that you're in sync and everyone's happy?
It comes down to such a trust issue. I feel like I can smell when producers are lying to me, and so I hope a tactic for producers is, and as a producer, to be straightforward and to have a real, honest conversation about what's at hand. Because I feel like if you're trying to be passive aggressive or you're going around the issue, it helps no one at the end of the day. So. And because I totally agree with you. It all comes down to trust. If we all have trust, and I've been in situations where the trust was really there, more there than not, and currently kind of in a situation where I feel like the trust is all gone, and it's immediately, just creatively, just changes everything. And so as the person who's receiving maybe the lie, he's like, it goes into your work. Like, now I'm going to go and sit in front of my computer and be like, try to figure out what it is that they want. And it could have all been avoided if we had just really had an honest conversation.
Yeah, I think it's just like navigating any relationship and being really honest and having that trust. And it comes down to the kind of personalities that you're working with and just how open and are they to it. There are some writers that I've worked with who really just don't ever want to hear a single note from anyone, and that going in, hopefully, and either you're okay with that or not, and maybe you don't want to work with someone that's not as collaborative as you need them to be in a situation. I think it's about great casting of your writer, in addition to their ability to do it well, that it's you're choosing someone for a role, and are they the person that's going to be able to take it all the way there and really seeing the same thing from the beginning?
I think Jen said something important. It's a relationship. And it's like, if you're going to have a relationship with somebody, you vet them. You go out to have a drink with them and go to dinner and meet their parents or whatever. And you get a sense of what they are. So like, if you're going to get into bed with a writer, you got to figure out what they are. Are they against notes? Is their ego so big? But if the ego's really big and they're really talented, then you go, okay, I'll put up with the ego because they're freaking talented, and I'll do that. Or they're really malleable, but they seem to be really, really passionate about this. And then, okay, well, I can sort of jump on that. And so that sort of works for me as well. But every writer relationship is different. And when you're developing a script, writer-producer is like, that's the relationship. Like, this is my ally. And writer-producer relationship, when you're trying to get something made, this is my ally. This is like, so if you don't see eye to eye with your writer, if your writer is staying on the project through drafts and is now the writer, if they're not going to be replaced, and it's like now you have something or you're working on something, this is the crucial relationship. You have to be able to communicate. You have to understand. I don't know everything about Jen, but I understand her sensibility and her taste, and I have a sense of her thought process, and she does me as well, and we do trust each other. And if you don't trust the other person, it's like being in a relationship with somebody you don't trust. You have to be able to communicate. And if you get anything out of what I'm saying, it's like you have to be the other thing is you have to be passionate about the project you're working on. Don't work on something if you don't have passion for it. And it doesn't have to be groundbreaking. It's just like, it could be a horror movie. I love horror. If you love horror movies, I'm going to make a great horror movie. God, you love horror movies? It's like things get a lot easier when the person you're working with shares your passion for whatever you're doing. It's like share passion with your writer, and find a writer who shares your passion.
I would just think, for a lot of people who aren't yet at this, if you're starting as a producer, like you guys have obviously a really strong producer-writer relationship, but you're probably going to end up not being able to vet all the writers you work with. So you're going to discover after you've got their material that maybe they don't want notes. And the only thing I would offer up there as an idea is, then you have to build the trust. And it may be someone that's difficult to build trust with. So I would say, don't be afraid to admit what you don't know. I think that's a problem for some people. They feel like it's going to make, particularly with executives, that they're really afraid to say, you know what, I got a sense that the scene isn't working. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what's wrong, but this is just a sense I have that it could be more this or more that. I think when you start hearing that, it puts the writer a little bit more at ease. There's nothing more spine-tickling than that bullshit sense when you come in and they sit down and they're like, first of all, scene 3 should be on scene 2, and they start telling you exactly what to do, and the certainty with which they're saying it tells you that they're wrong or that they don't know. So being open and knowing, sharing what you really know and don't know is probably a helpful way to build that trusting relationship that you guys are talking about, which you ultimately need to have to develop a project. And a lot of it depends on the power dynamic too. If you've bought their script, are you developing their script as a partnership to go take out? It really changes. And you know that too. As you said, like, are you going to fire that writer? The minute that becomes on the table, which is, by the way, the minute you are paying that writer, that can happen. That dynamic changes. And if you haven't built up a proper amount of trust, the writer's naturally going to be defensive because nobody wants to be fired and nobody wants to be disrespected. They all want to be heard. So if you can kind of let them know that you're in it together, as much as that's true, I think it'll help. It'll probably help get to that place you're talking about.
And some writers are self-starters. Some writers don't need a lot of encouragement, and other writers are utterly neurotic and have trouble waking up in the morning. And if you're the producer, you're an armchair psychologist in a lot of ways. It's like, this is going to be great. Like, this is going to be really good. If I'm a writer and I'm down a day and I encounter a producer and I get the sense this is just another piece of business for them, and I'm in their office and it's like, all right, well, whatever. Okay, I go back to work on this. Versus like, you meet people who just are excited about something that they're talking about, and you go like, yeah, that's right. That's why I got involved in this. That's right. That's why I'm doing this. So you're leading. The producer's leading the writer as much as the director's leading the actor while they're shooting, I feel.
Well, and it depends.
Not leading, but like working with them.
It depends on the situation. Dan's writing something right now. I'm not contributing to it at all. A script will appear, and then we'll talk about it. There's another thing that I'm working on right now. I'm on conference call 3 times a day with people that we're interviewing for research. We talk about what the structure of the story should be for hours and hours, and I'm really a part of building it from the ground up. It's just different dynamics with different people. So Dan doesn't want or need that, and you'll find other people that will.
It's also not an accident that certain producers are successful over and over again. Not like Jennifer, Chuck, many others we could talk about who have. You look at their track record. It doesn't have. You don't get lucky 15, 20 times, and you didn't. And it wasn't because she just happens to know the Gilroy's number. It's like there's producers that have enthusiasm and taste.
Enthusiasm
will succeed because they're going to make the writers that they're working with better writers. And I've had it both ways. I've had producers that make me better, and I've had producers where it just bogs you down and you kind of just can't wait to get the paycheck and leave. And you know very quickly which kind of producer you're with, and you guys have to figure out what kind of producer. Well, I know what kind of producer you want to be, but how to be that kind of producer by looking at the successful ones and seeing what they've done to get there.